After 14 long years, The Incredibles finally got their sequel. It's felt like forever, hasn't it? So before I talk about the movie, I have to bring up the animated short that they showed before the movie. It's called Bao, or Bao, or I'm not entirely sure how to pronounce that. It is one of the weirdest shorts that Pixar has ever shown. It is very bizarre. I'm not going to say anything about what it's about, because I think this is one thing you really have to experience for yourself. It is very strange, but there is meaning behind it. Eventually, as it goes on, you'll start to realize, oh, okay, I get it. So of all the Pixar movies that have come out, The Incredibles have been the most anticipated and most demanded of all the movies to get a sequel. And I'm not knocking on any of the other Pixar sequels. Finding Dory was alright, and Toy Story 2 and 3 were really good. In fact, they're some of my favorite of the Pixar movies. And we shall see about Toy Story 4. But people really wanted to see more of The Incredibles. Now, I think what a lot of people, including myself, were hoping for was that there'd be a time skip, especially considering that this movie is 14 years in the making. I think we were hoping to see a little bit of the passage of time, maybe see how the world develops, maybe see the kids grow up a little bit and how they've adjusted to their superpowers. But instead, this movie picks up right where the first movie left off, where they're fighting the Underminer, which I found kind of interesting because the PlayStation 2 tie-in game for the first movie was about them fighting the Underminer. I've never actually played the game, but I did look into it, and it has a very, very different story than what happens in this movie, so I guess that's not canon anymore? Or perhaps it never was? But instead, the plot of this movie is a business owner, played by Bob Odenkirk, and his sister, played by Catherine Keener, want to make superheroes legal again and want to bring them back to the public eye. So they choose Elastigirl to be the new public figure for superheroes, and they send her out to save people and fight crime and all that. Meanwhile, Bob stays home with the kids and tries to be a dad. Almost all the original cast returns to reprise their roles, with the exception of Dash's voice actor, because, well, 14 years have passed and, nature takes its course. But the replacement voice actor they got for him this time around did a really good job. And I gotta give praise to Craig T. Nelson for his performance, because he was awesome in this. Because when Bob is at home taking care of the kids, and he's not really used to it because he was always the working man, and he's in this new environment and he's finding out that it's not so easy, the emotion in his performance was just perfect. Like, when he was frustrated, you really felt that frustration. When he was angry, you felt that anger. When he was confused, he just didn't know what to do. And he is such a dad in this movie. Like, he does all the dad things. He says the bad jokes. He's a little bit embarrassing. But at the same time, you can tell he's really, really trying. He's a really underrated actor, and I think this movie proves it. I hope he gets some kind of award for this performance. And also, props to the animation team for really portraying those emotions in the character. They did a really good job. With this movie, you get a lot more of what you got with the first movie. You get to see a little bit more of the world of The Incredibles. They expanded upon a few things. You get to see more of the kids fighting crime and being active and doing things and adjusting to their superpowers and their new life as superheroes. And you get to see a little bit more of Jack as he's kind of developing his powers, and they try to make sense of it and they try to help control it a little bit. You get a little bit more of Edna Mode, but not enough, in my opinion. But of course, you get a lot more of Frozone, and that's always a good thing. I was kind of hoping we'd actually get to meet his wife, Honey, in this one. I believe she actually even has concept art already, so it's kind of a shame that they didn't include her in this movie. I think that's one thing a lot of people were hoping for. I think my only major gripe with this movie was the villain. While Elastigirl is out fighting crime, a villain reveals himself named the Screenslaver, which, by the way, is a great name. His whole thing is that he can take over any TV monitor and use it to hypnotize people into doing whatever he wants. The only issue I had was the big reveal of who the Screenslaver was, and, well, it was very predictable. The identity of the villain started to become a little bit more obvious as the movie went on, which is definitely a shame, especially considering how great the reveal of the villain of the first movie was. I think the only other issue I had with this movie was there was a scene where Elastigirl was tracking down Screenslaver, and they find him, and they have this big fight in this room with all of his hypnotic stuff flashing around, and it was very bothersome. Now, I'm not, like, epileptic or anything, but stuff like that does bother my eyes. I mean, I usually just go like this whenever a movie does something like that, but I can see it becoming problematic for a lot of people, so if you're going to see this movie, just be aware that that's going to happen. Other than that, I think this movie was great, and if you've never seen the first Incredibles movie, you're definitely doing yourself a disservice, because not only is it a great animated film, it's just a great film in general, and Incredibles 2 is a very worthy sequel. I think it lived up to all expectations, and at the very least, it's every bit as good as the first movie. And I'm not at all opposed to them doing a third one, especially since they introduce a whole bunch of other heroes in this movie. Some of them didn't really do much, but there was a group of heroes that did stick around and do stuff for a while, and it would be really nice to see more of them and some of the other heroes we missed out on. And I think it would be great to see our favorite family of superheroes in action one more time. But that's all I got for Incredibles 2. Leave a comment below and let me know what you thought of it. My name is Rob, and have a wonderful day.